Okay, so this is about taking Big Turkey out to the Nimitz Museum. That was an interesting experience. And you might ask, well, what will a 6-year-old do there? Yeah, it was kind of challenging at first. She didn't find the gun displays, the cannon displays, interesting. The plaques, which I didn't expect she would find those interesting. And finally, she just said, well, isn't there supposed to be some kids section? She was listening, right? And yes, there is a kids section, so we finally found our way over there. And so she found that interesting. And then there was another section that was about submarines, and then there was something about a rescue that happened in the Philippines with a submarine. So those things were kind of interesting to her. So there you go. All right, so in case you haven't seen it or understood what's going on, where have you been hiding? Well, K-pop demon hunters are big thing right now. Yes, so Big Turkey, instead of taking Big Turkey, we took Zoe from the Huntrix. Just just to let you know that's going on. Okay, so the first display, or the first thing you see as you walk into the kids section, is a boy. It turns out he's 12 years old. He's from Texas. Of course, this is in Texas, right? Anyway, so he's talking about how he has to help repair the tractor and do various chores. So he's talking about that. Although that part I don't think was quite so interesting. She did find it curious that he had this box full of tools. Okay. Anyway, there you go. What's interesting is the kid there is 12. My father is 13 on the ration book. Wow. I didn't think about it before, but looking at the ration book, yeah, okay, that's different. All right, so the next section in the kids section was about this Japanese American girl. And it was, I guess she must, so she was 12 when World War II started, and they moved them to one of the, I don't know, whatever they called them, the containment camps. It wasn't concentration camps, okay? It was a containment camp. But because of the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor, they didn't treat the Japanese Americans very well. Anyway, so I'm guessing that she wrote a story about this to share with the world so people would know what happened. And I appreciate that. It was very helpful. There was a thing there, so they had an interactive game where you had to pack her suitcase for her. And there was more items than you could fit in the suitcase, so you had to choose which ones to pack. And so Zoe was getting kind of frustrated because she couldn't fit everything in. And I told her that's really the point of the whole game, was to show you what it's like trying to pack all this stuff. Okay. Turning back to her right, there was also another display, another game, and it was a combination of things. So one section was speaking Japanese to some extent. Another one was playing the katana, I think it is, the stringed instrument from Japan. There was a piano thing there, which she enjoyed. I'm thinking there was one other thing there. I forgot what it was, but yeah, there were some lessons learned there. I don't know if Big Turkey knows what all lessons are, but that part was interesting. So, depending on how you feel about that particular chapter of World War II, to me it was interesting. So, my daughter Jill, she had a friend in middle school and high school, and she's of Japanese descent. And I'm looking at the stuff thinking like, oh wait, her family was involved in this. I think so. I don't know for sure, but it feels like it could be. Anyway, it was interesting. It was interesting watching her play with stuff. And oh, she had a great time with the piano. Natalie packing to go camp. Okay, so one of the sections over there in the kids section was talk about rationing, and she didn't get that. Of course, I mean we don't ration stuff right now, so we don't. Nobody has to do that. But anyway, during World War II they did, and I tried to explain it to her. So I don't know. I don't know how well it stuck, but she did find that they had a display there that showed the various types of meat and the various vegetables that you could get. So there you go. And the follow-on with this is showing you the ration book that my father had during World War II. Okay, so for those of you who have never seen this before, this is a World War II ration book. Yes, so my father was alive during World War II. In this book, he's 13, so we're at the end of the World War II, I guess. Anyway, 13. He's a male. Yes, he's a male. 123 pounds and 5'4", I think that says. Anyway, and to give you an idea what it looks like, there's a bunch of stamps. So you use the stamps to get what you need to get. Okay, so last little corner that we reviewed in the kids section had to do with Victory Gardens. For some reason I was thinking it was Liberty Gardens, but anyway, when I looked up, it's Victory Gardens. So they had a few plaques like, how to do stuff. And then finally they show some row crop plants, and I think there were 6 of them. Now that Zoe got the corn and the wheat, she might have even guessed the cotton one. So she was doing pretty good on this part. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. And for those of you who don't know, Victory Garden is a garden that you grew at your own house to help give you some of the vegetables you might need, because everything was going to the war effort, right? Okay, another part of the museum, we found something that was dedicated, or a section that was dedicated to submarining. And so Zoe found this little thing, and I guess they were given instructions over the headphones. I don't know. Anyway, at one point I asked her what's going on, and she said, wait, I'm listening for the instructions. So she figured out how to dive a submarine and bring it back up. Pretty good. Now, there was another section, and I ended up beating her. So you get 2 players. So when one side is the submarine, the other side is the submarine destroyer with a convoy of 3 ships. I think, as it turned out, I got the submarine. Does that sound right? I think so. Anyway, so once I figured out how the submarines worked, I shot 2 of her convoy ships and shot her submarine destroyer, and like, oh, you beat me. Anyway, to be fair to her, it's not exactly clear what is you're doing with it until you've gone through it a few times, right? Anyway, whatever, peace and harmony. Okay, so there's one last thing we did, and to me it's a new thing. Anyway, the activity is called the rescue. So apparently there was a Japanese plane that was shot down somewhere in the Philippines, and it had some instructions or war plans or something written in plain Japanese. And so they sent a sub to pick it up, and then while the sub was there, it was going to pick up some other people that were also in danger. Okay, in this story, there's a 13-year-old girl who's being mentioned. she's kind of helping take care of some of the other people. So whatever. So this is a semi-interactive exhibit. So they start out with a video, and then and I think another section maybe they showed a snake jumping across the log, and then they had some Japanese soldiers shooting at us. That was all kind of curious. And then we went to another section, and it's simulating being in a submarine. So these people, including this girl, were rescued. They went into the submarine, and then they were taken to Australia, I think it was. Anyway, so the part of that part of the experience is you can feel the sub diving and then coming back up a little bit and so on. And then there was another part where the Japanese were depth charging the submarine. And so you'd hear the boom and feel the shaking and all that stuff. And there was some water that spilt out and stuff like that. So it was interesting. Anyway, I didn't get her reaction to it, but she was standing pretty close to me at some points. But I think she found it interesting. I hope she did. Okay, so this story wouldn't be complete without the additional part. So we walked out onto the main street, got lunch at a burger place. You're in German land. Yeah, okay, but the burger place was the closest place to get a meal. Coming back, we found a candy store. And at first, they were kind of going like, yeah. And finally, Zoe got us to go in. And she was picking out a candy. And then she found a toy in the back. And so she put the candy away and picked out that toy. So I guess the rule is she only gets one thing. Anyway, that should work out for her. I think she's pretty happy with that. Anyway, overall, it's a good trip.